Hello, everyone, and welcome to LTR edition 36, no less. We've done 36, or we've done 35 LTRs in the last 3 and a bit years. And this is all run by the organization IDEA, which is me and Arena and a few other folks. IDEA is the Internet Dating Excellence Association, and our purpose is to really bring the industry together so that you can learn and share and connect and learn the news, because we've also got online personals watch. And yeah, so that's our goal. And our goal today also is to introduce you to some amazing people and introduce you to each other as well. So please do have a think about someone that you had a chat with at the tables, and let me know afterwards if I can introduce you, because that would please me to know that I'm matchmaking in the business of dating and matchmaking. Thanks to our sponsors today. You can see them up top. We've got Parship Meat Group, our long-term 6-year sponsor, and Real Me, who's been with us 4 years now. Thank you very much. Please do have a look at Real Me for verification and background checks, which I think is an absolute essential in this industry. And Real Me bring a fantastic solution for you that's quite unique. Anyway, I could talk for half an hour, but have a look at Real Me, please. Dating Through Curiosity is our newer client, and they have a very interesting product in the works for you. And then, of course, Cortland Brooks is us. We can help you with strategy, biz dev, and marketing. And yeah, we've got Matchmaker in the works as well for you as well. Right, so let me introduce you to one other thing, by the way, little housekeeping. If you've got some questions, I hope you've got some questions, please put your question under the little tab on the right. You'll see kind of a question looking thingy. Click on that, add your question, and then you can vote on the other questions. So before you leave, after you've added your question, please do vote up questions, or even if you don't have a question, please vote up questions, the ones that you would like to have answered, in both the case of Julie and Ethan. Right. So Julie is a master matchmaker and dating coach with over 30 years experience. And I think I've known Julie, well, a good 20 years at this stage, going pushing 20 years. What I didn't know about Julie actually is that she's got a degree in psychology with a focus on human sexuality, which is interesting. I didn't know that about you. So is that you? Well, has that proven useful? I should ask you, Julie.
Mostly in aggravating my parents. My parents couldn't believe that I was actually studying SEX in college. They were just mortified they were paying for that.
Yeah. Well, it proved to be incredibly on topic.
Very much so. If fast forward, it was a good thing to study. But if I had added something else, it would be all the media stuff. So I would know how to edit, and I would know how to do all the stuff that Carmelia Ray just naturally knows how to do. I'm in school learning to do these things.
Well, I must say you've got your podcast now, and you have a very polished approach to both. I was on your podcast recently. Thank you very much. And it seemed like, well, I should invite you onto LTR. I've got a burning question for you, which I think kind of unlocks some of the area that I know that you want to go with this interview. And that is this. Look, I know we've got a lot of dating folks, of course. That's our main focus, dating CEOs. In fact, we've got 34 out of 48 of our guests today are CEOs, presidents, or founders, or combination of dating companies. So I've got a lot of dating CEOs here. And for them, I know they're looking at the matchmaking industry and thinking, hold on, we're charging 30, 50, maybe as much as like $80 a month for online dating. Shouldn't we, A, have kind of killed the matchmaking industry by now? And B, why are people spending 10, 20, 50, $100,000 for matchmakers? Why?
Well, because can we be graphic here?
Please, but it is recorded and it will be going
Is
on.
it
Unless you want me to edit bits out, I can edit bits out if you want to just do
Why
it.
does a dog lick himself in certain places? Because he can. All right. That's
Okay.
the nature. My dog's right down here to prove it to you.
Uh-huh.
But when some people start doing it, others start doing it, and others
Yeah.
start doing it, and before you know it, they're graduating from a weekend class in New York with our friend Lisa Clampett, and they start off with $25,000 and $50,000 price points, and they have no database yet. And part of what's really bothered me about the industry is that it's not right that we have online dating down here and very, very little price points, and then nothing really until we're talking major mega thousands.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in the middle ground. And I've also always been interested in making sure that we have a full range of people within our communities. So the first thing that I did in 2001 when I created my first company, Cupid's Coach, which is the same database that I work with today, I just go under julieferman.com. I wanted to make sure there was something for everybody. So the big distinction was whenever I would get somebody on the phone, I wasn't trying to talk them into becoming a high level client. I'm interested in them as a resource. If Mark shows up in my world and he's a single guy, first thing I'm going to do in that first 15, 20 minutes is quickly type up whatever you say so that I'm beginning to create a profile about you. And there's a lot of matchmakers who won't lift a finger until after the person has paid a lot of money. And when I am matching a high level client, I want an enormously wonderful, delicious community of people that I can choose from. Of course, I'm going to favor somebody who's been my matchmaking client or who is currently, but I love having this stair-stepped approach. So in my world, free registration, a consultation for $300, they can do a boot camp for just shy of 3,000. They can do coaching sessions, they can do personal matchmaking, but only by invitation. And during that consultation, I actually show people behind the scenes. I run a search in advance. So if Mark was a single guy, I'm going to run a search and we're going to look at the people together and I'm going to watch your face to find out, are you only going for the top three most beautiful women? Are women, when I'm doing that consultation with them, only going for the Clooney types, tall, dark, handsome, whatever? And what I've really learned over the years is that the best candidates for lifelong love, they're usually not the wealthiest people and the most beautiful people, but that's who the high level matchmakers are focused on. And they've abandoned women altogether. I'm one of the very few matchmakers who has been stubborn about this. I refuse to close my doors to women. So the fact that I've always served women, I have a very healthy collection of stallions in the stable because I've nurtured those relationships over the years because of my commitment to serving both women and men. And I'm not interested in just the high net worth men driving around the Ferraris. You know, women come to me trying to avoid narcissism. So why should I introduce them only to the richest men and the most beautiful men? Come on, let's get real.
So, boy, there's a whole lot to unlock there. You know, let's start with like the middle ground, the value ground, essentially. So that's really interesting because there has been. Could we say, have you generally observed that in matchmaking the prices have gone up
Ooh.
significantly over the last several years?
Oh my gosh. Seriously, it's been the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I've heard matchmakers stand in the front of the room telling everybody, double your rates, double your fees, so that they can justify their own. And I know a lot about what it takes to be a really good matchmaker. It doesn't cost $50,000 or 100 or 150 or 300. Now there's a matchmaker charging $1 million. It doesn't cost that much to do a good job. It truly doesn't. If you are embedded in your markets, like right now, if you just look up Santa Fe matchmaker, right? I'm the only matchmaker in Santa Fe. And there are a whole bunch of companies trying to get those Santa Fe eyeballs and they'll pay the money for it. So what are people paying for? They're paying for marketing to get more fancy clients to sign up with their agency.
Mhm.
And what I don't know, a lot of people on this call probably don't know, the reason I'm such a freak in this industry is because I was the consumer. I'm the girl who sat there in an Ethiopian restaurant at 29.9 years old crying in my beer because I couldn't get dating right and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to have kids. So hired myself a dating coach, the most important first thing that I did. And he showed me my blind spots. There were a lot of them, but he loved me enough to gently guide me through the process of learning. Okay, Julie, the best match in the community is probably not the wealthiest one, and he's probably not the best looking. And who are you missing? So that was the first thing. And then we got really busy. I tried everything, 50 dates in 2 years, and we didn't have anything like the resources represented here. And then I stumbled into a video dating service, and the guy who took me for $1,450 and maxed out both of my credit cards is the man I'm married to. And why did I flirt with him? Because finally I got access to the library where there were going to be so many wonderful people. They had just opened their doors, Mark. They didn't have hardly
Oh,
anybody.
come
And
on.
I was mortified. I thought, "Oh my God, I just spent $1,450 that I didn't have to waste. And there's nobody here that I want to meet." And I felt sold a bill of goods. So I knocked on this guy's door who had sold me that bill of goods. And I didn't try to get my money back. It didn't even occur to me. I just flirted with him and I said, "I didn't see you in the G book. What's the story with you, pal?" And he said, "Well, I'm not supposed to ask out my members." And I said, "Well, what would you do if one of your members asked you out?" And he said, "If she was cute, I'd probably go." I said, "Come on, let's go have a beer." And seriously, 5 weeks later, we got engaged, and 5 months later, we got married. And as I was signing that agreement at the Great Expectations office, I remember thinking, if this thing works for me, I'm giving up my career in the hotel industry and I'm going to help other people who are struggling through this thing called dating. And it bothers me a bunch that there's such a gap between the online dating and high end personal matchmaking. And why do people get into this business? Because of the money. It's supposed to be about love, but the primary driver is all about making money and the consumer can feel it. So
Well,
that's why
GE
I'm here.
is a great example, really. I mean, they were the first company to do video right, one could argue, but they didn't never made the transition to online because that was disruptive to their model. And they were, what did they charge? They were, well, 1450 in your case. I remember them in the thousands.
I mean, it was anywhere from $495. Those were the smart people who would hold out until they dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. It was very negotiable. But they would start with, in 1990, it was a 1995 program or a 1450 program, or if you were ready to stand up and walk out, they'd give you a 995, or if they really needed you and you were a cute young girl, or if you were a professional guy, it was a 495. So there was all this sleaze. And the reason why Great Expectations didn't end up surviving is because online reviews
Yeah,
were
yeah.
available and people could see all the complaints. So they go across the hallway and change the company name to something else. And it was the same sleazy sales tactics. And today, to this day, when salespeople stand up in front of these conferences, they're using the same sleazy sales tactics that were used 34 years ago to sell me that membership. I think it's time for a better model.
What's the better model?
Well, I've determined that it can't really be done well, personal matchmaking on a global scale. I tried it, at one point I sold my company to a larger company. They had me build out 5 offices, and that company went under because it's complicated to try to do it well. The reason why you can't do it well on a large scale is because you have to hire sales reps and marketing people, and they get paid based on performance. They want you to sell the deal, and the sales managers are yelling at the salespeople and going through every interview that didn't sell, and hammering the salesperson. And the salesperson says, "Screw this, I'm not going to work in this industry." And then the matchmakers, well, they're on quotas. They have to provide a certain number of matches in order to pay their rent. And if you're only matching paying people to other paying people, that's not enough to make the good matches. It's not. It's the reason why blind date matchmaking has developed such a negative reputation among the consumers, because you can pay all that money and they're going to do the best they can. But if all they're matching is the paying people, that's the problem. At Great Expectations, when I started working for my husband and I walked across the hall to the telemarketing office, I couldn't believe it. There were stacks and stacks and stacks all the way up to the ceiling of paper. And I said, "What's all that?" "Oh, those are just dead leads, Julie. Those are just dead leads." And I'm sitting there mortified thinking, what if that guy I just signed up, what if his perfect partner is in that stack? "Oh, we're not going to do anything for them until they pay." So that's what I changed from the very beginning. Is there a way that a company could take the model that I have today, which is from free to VIP service at every level, and make it big? Possibly, but it would have to be a company that was as passionate about service as about profits. I
There
believe
seems
if
to
you
be
treat people well, it's going to come back and kiss you in the butt.
there's something magical about the owner matchmaker. It seems to be the combination that really works that I've observed over the years. I think what happens. I think you were talking about a company before that you worked with. Was it eLove?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's a combination of Together Dating and the right one. They had tremendous, national footprint, and it was a franchise model, and it was around for years. They combined and then used eLove as the name, and they were about a $5,000 price point typically, which was still a value price point back then. But the difficulty, I guess, that they had was they had roguish franchisees that they were so connected with. They had bad reviews, and it was a time when, the internet, people were looking up. They before they go into an office, they'd look up just to see the reputation, and if they saw bad reviews, they wouldn't rock up to the interview. So that threw their numbers essentially, which really messed with the business model. And that is the same thing that's happening a lot with matchmakers these days. It's like as you scale, unless you've got that owner matchmaker that is with you're selling in, but you're also servicing generally. That's the magic of the owner matchmaker, because you're really providing the service that's expected and sold. They're sold on that service, and you're actually able to provide it. But one thing scales, it's difficult to scale matchmaking, basically. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Even if I were funded and I could develop franchise locations around the country, finding the person who's going to run it the way I would run it. When I
Yeah.
took my company back in 2013, I got rid of all the staff. And ever since then, I interview every single person. And the thing is, if you're only serving the people who are paying a lot of money, you've got a real problem, because the women who have those kinds of resources, well, who do they want to meet? They want to meet men at their level. But the
Mhm.
problem is, men at their level financially, if they're good looking, if they've got a lot to offer, who do they want to meet? They don't want to meet their contemporary. Do you know the percentage of people in 40,000 records in my system, the percentage of men who've checked the box even 1 year older than they are? It's less than 2%.
Oh, good God, really? Oh dear.
And women, more than 50% over the age of 50, are asking me for, 5, 7 years younger, up to 5, 7 years older. But the wealthy man that
Yeah.
all the matchmakers are chasing after, and it's gross. One of my clients was sitting at a restaurant at the bar in New York City and was totally hounded by a matchmaking recruiter
Mhm.
charging $150,000. I know exactly what company that was.
Mhm.
So matchmaking is developing a horrible reputation, and men don't even want to take my call because they've been hustled by these matchmakers. And what do the matchmakers do? All they need to do, find a bunch of cute young women who want that guy's lifestyle, tease him with all these beautiful, busty babes, get him to sign on the line. And some of these ladies are going out on one date just to kind of do a favor for the matchmaker. And then the matchmaker comes back and says, "Oh, I'll give you a good one next time, Susie. It's all okay." The
Mhm.
smoke and mirrors that's been going on, it's disgusting, and I'm here to advocate for the consumer. So I don't care if I hack off any matchmakers when I talk about what's the underbelly of matchmaking, which grosses me out completely.
This is amazing. Okay, great. This is exactly what I was
Nobody
hoping
talks
for.
about it, Mark. You know
Well,
why nobody talks about it? Because they're happy with their Gucci bags and their fancy shoes and their Ferraris or whatever they're doing. And the big fancy matchmakers don't even work with their clients.
mhm,
They're on vacation. They're doing whatever they do. Now, somebody like Carm, who's on this call, this girl came from the trenches. She
mhm,
came from telemarketing, okay?
mhm.
And she worked her way into becoming a world-class matchmaker. And I know that she does a great job for her clients. She goes to the end of the earth for them, and she knows who her people are. But
Yeah,
that's rare, let me tell you.
interesting. So how can we have more people like you and Calm in the world, in this world of matchmaking? How can we bubble up the quality, show the value, the players who are really providing value across the spectrum of price, propensity? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's so simple. If we actually build every stage of what we're doing with service as the dominant purpose for doing it, it takes care of itself. What
mhm,
can we provide for people that's at a 500 price point? I'm just building it right now. It's to take my boot camp, which is a $3,000 offering, take it down to a $500 do it yourself digital offering. And if all these people would just do that, wow, dating would be so much better because we handle all the issues. in that boot camp. So there should be a $500 price point. There should be a $3,000 price point, a $10,000 price point. It's fine if there's a $150,000 price point, but there sure as heck better be a good reason for it, and
Mhm.
not just because you hired recruiters to poach people off of LinkedIn. It's
Isn't it? I mean, it's time and privacy is the equation that people look at. It's like they have money, but they don't have the time. They don't want to go through the frustration. They want somebody to be a soothsayer in their ear and help coach them on the back of each and give them the inside track. Basically, talk to the other person, find out what's really going on, so they don't get ghosted.
yeah, you and I talked about this on our podcast interview, which was one of my favorites, Mark. And you know, you mentioned that one of the beauties of matchmaking is we get to coach people on both sides, but we
Yeah,
have to be very careful
yeah.
because when we are coaching a client who's dropped $10,000 or more, we have to be very careful how we're going to say what we want to say, because the risk is they're going to get mad, they're going to post a bad review, they're going to do a chargeback, they're going to hire an attorney to get the money back. Believe me, I've been through all of it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than working your ass off for a client, doing a really good job, just to find out that the day after the program's over, they've hired an attorney.
Oh
And they
God.
say these words. They say,
Yeah,
"You either give me all of my money back or I'll make it my personal mission to destroy you."
yeah.
How about
Well,
that?
there's a lot
It's
to be
happened
said
to
for
me 5
sugarcoating.
times and I won't do it anymore.
There's a lot to be said for sugarcoating, but at the end of the day, I think you can prep people as they're coming in. It's rather like consulting. I think of my role working with clients. There's minimal value in saying,
Yeah.
"You're doing great. I like
Yeah.
what you." There's a lot more value in saying, "You're doing great. Here's a couple of things you need to improve. Let's
Yep.
monitor. Let's see how that goes. Let's."
I
Things are
know
going
that it's hard to
to
scale this, but
Yeah.
I I'm screening people from the very beginning
Mhm.
for curiosity, growth orientation, a willingness to do things better. I love to use the space in between relationships as a sandbox for growing and development, becoming better at dating, becoming better at flirting, engaging, communication, all of that. And if they don't show themselves on that little $295 Zoom consultation with me, not with a staffer, with me, if they don't show themselves to be growth oriented and all they're going for is the three usual suspects, I'm not an idiot. I like to sleep at night. I won't take them on for matchmaking. I'll invite them into my boot camp where we'll
Mhm.
begin to understand why it is that the people they're interested in are basically untouchable. You know, the way the online dating algorithms are, they serve up the popular people because that keeps users engaged and spending more money. If they sent the unappealing people, they'd say, ah, there's nobody here on Match. I think I'm gonna go away. So the whole thing is corrupt because of the money.
Well, I always think about money as the greatest demonstration of value. I was like, I look at Tinder's price point at $500. I was like, if they truly are helping accelerate the process of getting in front of someone that's truly a great match, then it's a bargain at $500 a month, and it's a lot better than spending an entire year. $100,000. I mean, there is something about feeling good about work. Like if like a Julie Ferman, like somebody sees you, they come and have a call, and it's like, this is the person I feel comfortable working with. This is someone I trust to maintain my privacy. This is someone I want to work with in a date, getting the pre-date preparation and the post-date feedback, which really seems to be the formula that you deliver, which is crazy high value. But we do not. Pre-date preparation and post-date feedback. I want to tell our audience about something that they may not realize: the market, the hidden market for matchmaking clients, the back end market. So basically, what happens with matchmakers, as I understand it, is you've got to be asking the questions like, what about that database? It's like you've got someone, you've got a few people that you're working with, but then you can work with other matchmakers that you also trust and
Yeah.
and compare notes. It's like, I've got this person, what have you
Hmm.
got? And you can actually
Yeah.
matchmake them. And there's a back end market. My understanding is you would pay a matchmaker would typically pay anywhere from $100 to $500 for a date with somebody who's a very good
It's
match from
it,
the paid inventory or otherwise of another matchmaker. So
it's kind of creepy. Okay, so
but it
when I'm
works.
searching for my gentleman client and I
Yeah.
want to have wonderful candidates for him, typically matchmakers will come back and offer me only the people that they're currently searching for, because those are the
Yeah.
people they're on the hook for, right? And it's nowhere near what my gentleman client is looking for. If I'm searching for a female client, forget it. You're going to get crickets, because they aren't going to serve up their gentleman clients who are paying all that money. They're not. And they won't take the time to do a proper search. So what
Mm.
I do these days is, when I reach out to a matchmaker, I say, I will pay you the same fee that I charge people in order for you to do a proper search for me. But even that doesn't work, Mark. And the reason is because the matchmakers too often aren't completing beautiful profiles for people unless they pay. And the gold in terms of service is very often in the people who haven't paid a lot.
Yeah.
So what I started doing back in COVID, and it's been the most intelligent, most beautiful thing I've ever done. Half of the introductions I do from this desk are free. I have a community service division of my company. I can't create a 501c3. It's too complicated. But kind of like the Bombas sock company, for every introduction that I provide for a high level client, I'm producing at least one other for somebody who's not paying that kind of money. And I just wanted to make the match. So if I do one of those 295 consultations, and I don't think this person should be jumping into the $10,000 program, maybe they're not going to jump into my boot camp. But darn it, there's an introduction I'd love to make with another person who paid $295. I will go ahead and do it. Anybody who's done even that little bit of skin in the game, I will consider for these matches, and I don't promise them. And
Yeah.
I tell people they can't expect them. But I just officiated a wedding with a gentleman who's 78 and a woman who's 67, both at the top of their game, really amazing people. Neither one of them felt like they needed to hire the matchmaker. I had an event. She noticed him. I'm like, whoa, okay, let's see what happens. He said yes. She said yes. Boom, boom, year and a half, they're married. I'm encouraging other matchmakers to do the same and to build out the service systems at all those price points shy of whatever their high point is, so that we can serve people better. Then you never worry about marketing. I don't have to spend any money on marketing. The phone rings all the time. Referrals come in right, left, and sideways from people who get that I've done a good job for them. If we do a really good job, we don't need to spend the kind of money that those high-end agencies are spending in marketing. Serve people better.
How would you like to work with the dating industry? How can they access a world of magical owner matchmakers, monetize effectively, and provide you value?
I would love to see partnerships happening where the online sites are offering a really valuable dating coaching program with somebody who knows what they're doing, extending invitations to the free webinars that I provide, giving people options to jump in on my boot camp, whether it's the $500 version that's in development, or if it's the $3,000 live version, which is virtual, but we have office hours calls on Thursday nights and Friday mornings with men and women together. Most of the matchmakers, I think I'm the only one that doesn't do it this way. They only take women in their boot camp programs. And it's very clear to me why. They need to monetize these ladies, and they won't take us on as clients. They find us to be too difficult to please. Now, the best part of my boot camp is having men and women of all ages in there together,
Yeah.
learning. Well, how come you guys say you're going to call and you don't call? Well, Mark, you tell us. Why do you think you guys do that? And then you'll say, well, how come I call and you said you're going to take my call, but you don't respond back and you don't tell me that I'm not your cup of tea and I'm just left there? So we get in there and wrestle with it. And in the process, we're learning how to become better communicators, which is going to serve us in our relationship.
Julie, I've got some questions for you. I'm going to ask you two questions from our group. I've got Steve Dean, who is with Cortland Brooks and is a dating coach, actually. So, what percentage of people in a matchmaker's database are actually actively seeking? How do you stay relevant to the clients in your database when they may no longer be actively seeking a match?
Oh, I would say 80, 85, maybe 90% of the people who are in my database, if they're available right now, a bunch of those people I know to be on inactive status, and I let them sit there until, like, if you tell me you want to be on inactive status because you fell in love with this beautiful girl, Arena, I'm going to say, you go, guy, and make me a promise. If you two don't stick, make me your first phone call. And I make you look me in the eye and tell me that you'll do that because I don't want to hound you to try to get you to pay me or to try to get you to go out with a woman I just signed on.
Mhm.
So I'm going to keep touching you and I'm going to keep offering opportunities for my free webinars and communicate. There's a whole stair step level, and I want people engaged. So I would say the lion's share of the people in my world are very much looking to be in a partnership and they hope to hear from me. And if they only hear from me every 3 years when I might have a referral for them, I'm going to lose the relationship. So I like to engage them regularly with my webinars and events. I do a ton of events.
Gotcha. Matt from Flair Events asks, what are your thoughts on automation or AI in matchmaking? And let me just expand on this. Imagine, if you will, there was an AI that could sit with you and see all of your communications and kind of look across all of your clients, see all of your communications, both verbal and in text, and essentially the expert system.
Yeah, Smart Match app is already doing some of that because I just moved my entire platform over from the system that I built with help, of course, over to Smart Match app. And the thing I like about Smart Match app, one of the things is that it will do that. I'll pull up Mark's profile and I'll hit the matches and I'll click on refresh and it will give me suggestions.
Mhm.
And I don't trust it yet. So I still have my old system available to me and I pay the guy $100 a month just so that I can access it because I want to look at both because I'm going to find people that the bot didn't find.
Yeah.
But I have a fantasy. Okay. Here's my fantasy. Maybe one of you guys can create this. I think we have privacy issues, but I think we should all have our phones set up so that if I thought Mark was adorable and I just pointed my phone at him, it would give me the drop down menu. Oh, well, he's 53 years old and he went to Harvard and blah, blah, blah. And he happens to like short, curvy blonde girls. Oh, awesome. And I could just like hit it and see if maybe he would go for me. And my profile's in here and I just see somebody out there and I zap him. Come on, one of you guys fix that. Do that for me. Do that for me. So if you're walking down the street and you see some guy, you could just zap him with your phone and see if maybe he's single and could he be a match. And the only really good way to do it, matchmaking, you have to go to the man first and get his yes.
Mhm.
I learned the hard way that when you tease a woman with a really great guy, and she's like, wow, okay, finally you found somebody who looks good. And she says, yes. And then I go to him and I say, Mark, what do you think about Susie? And you're like, not so much. Who else you got? Do you want to hear a scary statistic? For every one yes I get from a man in my world, and I've been crunching numbers since 2001, I will get, for one yes, I will get 6 to 7. Aw, thanks for thinking of me, Jewel. She looks great. She's just not my cup of tea. Who else do you have? So when I've got this guy's attention, I'm not going to say, well, I have lots of people. You have to pay me again to access them. No, I'm going to go right in and see if I can offer a mitzvah match to this person to create the bonded relationship that I need with him and that I want with him. So you have to go to the guys first. We girls cannot handle rejection. We will go right onto Yelp and write a bad review or do a chargeback or demand money back. So I learned I can only share good news with ladies.
Julie Ferman, you're a master matchmaker. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you for the insights. We've got to do this again. That was very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.